Okay, well, we just want to welcome you out to the Worth Account Training and Closing. Want to introduce you to Miss Darlene Preston. She is a partner, field partner with Worth Unlimited. She's been a great friend. We go back a long ways, and she is one of the best people to learn from. If you're going to learn how to present and close, you're going to learn the systems, you're going to learn the back office and how to do things. Look, Darlene is the one you want to start getting your notepad out and start taking notes. She has been working with me side by side almost the whole time, working out bugs and fixing things, and if there's something wrong, she's going to find it. So anyways, Darlene knows the ins and outs of this. She's closed nearly 500 sales, so she is more than qualified to present and teach you and train you on this. And look, just tune in and get your pen and paper out and start taking notes, because you're going to learn a few nuggets that you're going to want to take with you in your business. And Miss Darlene Preston, along with Harry Preston, are just fantastic at what they do, and we're just so grateful to have them as field partners and partners with Worth Unlimited. So without any more delay, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Darlene. Darlene, are you there?
Yes. Hello, John. Thank you so much for that great introduction, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring the information to everyone. So thank you again, John. I do appreciate you and what you all are doing and helping everybody out there. So let's see what we have in store tonight. All right. So today's agent closing training, and this is part 2. You should have been able to look at part 1 in your back office under news. Everyone that's on the call today basically should be an agent that has seen the back office. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about a few new things and just continue where we left off on our last training session. We'll present the results, because we had entered information, and now we will be presenting results. So with that information, let's go to see some of the things that I want to show us and bring us up to date. As far as what we're covering, we already talked about how the Worth account, the analysis, that's what we talked about, how to put the information in. And then we're going to talk about how to present and close the sale. So today is more of bringing it right to that close. And then the next time we get on, which is Monday, we'll talk about, once we have that close, the collection process and how to activate that client in using their Worth account. Because just buying the Worth account and not knowing how to use it or even get started on it will definitely hinder their successful results. So when we talk about this, it's all about your prospects. Your prospects may be prospects to be clients only, agents only, or both. So the possibilities are right there. As an agent, when you get started, you have options on how to present and bring your prospect into being a client, an agent, or both. There are separate positions. So you have the referring agents only, where you put that person in your back office, and from your back office, you would then refer them for yourself to complete the information as an analysis, or what we're talking about right here is assigning them. And you'd sign that prospect to a closer or a coach closer. And that person would be located in your back office. So once you put the prospect in there, they come up and you have a place where you can select assign. That'll be on the right side of your screen, and you select assign. You can, back office is already selected, or you can select a person and write their name on it, and it'll select all the people in the list, and you can use it that way. Or as I mentioned, you can assign them to the office, and then you have certain things that you need to do with that, which we'll cover. Now, the other position you can have is an additional position of a closer. So a referring agent is one position. The next position level is a closer. So you can be both. All right. As a closer, remember, you're responsible to put the analysis in, present the results, and then make sure the program is activated in the shopping cart and the details are in there so the person gets ready to use it. You also have the option of helping them become an agent and understanding that. and then repeat the process. Show them how to do the same process. But either way, you want to get that analysis run, and you want to make sure the information is properly put in place. So in the beginning, my recommendation for everyone is to have someone help you with the closings. And that could be the office, that could be your upline, it could be anyone that you choose. But someone that's experienced to be able to do that to help you get that sale done. So just a little more recap on what I thought was really important, because I got a lot of questions about this. You know, gathering the information that we talk about, what to put in for the analysis, starts long before you actually start the analysis. You know, securing information and getting the person ready to be to get their analysis, and it continues long after. But you want to be confident in that gathering. And of course, as I always say, you want to practice on yourself first, become a product of the product. Some of the things we want you to make sure that you don't do is you don't guess. You don't guess at the price, you don't guess at how to do it, you don't guess at the answers. If you don't know, you ask. So that's a big issue that does come up, because people are so excited about doing it, but don't guess, okay? Don't make promises, only supply the facts. Get help and keep learning. I'm always on the calls on training and everything. Why? Because I want to learn more and I want to hear more. I always catch some nuggets of information that maybe I missed the other times, even though we've been around a long time. Don't quit. It's not going to come overnight. This is not a rush course. It's not a cram class. You want to learn how to do this proficiently and effectively, and then you can grow your business. You can grow your business by helping others. But you got to make a difference by learning the information yourself and then sharing it with others. So when we talk about appointments, guys, this can make or break your sale based on how you set that appointment. Now, I've been talking to a lot of people and asking what some of the things are that happens when they do close. One is that the information is not correct in the back office. Please be sure you confirm that the information in the back office is correct. And the best way to do that is ask the person themselves, is this information correct? And you make sure there's no typos, no grammatical errors or spelling errors, like a lowercase letter for the first letter. You know, that's not a good way to do it. Now, the prospect has to know they're going to be receiving a call. And that call is not about refinancing or giving them a credit check or, you know, consolidated debt. It's about finding out where they are now in their finances and figuring out, using the system, if it's going to work for them or not. How do we know? We ask them to get all the information in there. But you need to be aware of what has to be done, at least a little bit of what they need to expect. So no calls, cold calls should be sent. So you know how those people go into your back office, go to your website and they go ahead and get the ebook, and then they put their email and their name in there, and then they pop up in your back office under prospect. Well, if you notice, there's no phone number. Please do not refer that person or assign that person until you get a chance to talk to them. Get their phone number, because that's part of what's necessary when you're working on the closing portion. All decision makers will always help on doing your sale. It's hard sometimes to get a husband and wife or partners that make these decisions together in business or what have you, and they're not both there. So I don't argue with them, though. If they say I'm the decision maker, then I leave it at that, and I'll give you some little techniques that I use to get both the information out to both of them. The internet access is necessary. Hopefully they're not just using it on their cell phone, they're actually using it on a computer of some sort. Debt information. So bills, the most recent bills, the most recent creditor notes, and or the worksheet. And the analysis worksheet is located on your homepage, and we are refining that some. I'll give you an idea of some of the things that we really do need to collect. Unfortunately, some people, when they get the worksheet, they think of it as homework, and they may not do it. So I simplified a little, and we'll go into details. One of the things that I find one of the most difficult things is dealing with time zones. When you put the person in your back office and you're assigning them, the person you're assigning them to may not know the time zone difference in that particular state. So in the body of your back office description information on this particular client, include the time zone. Include the time zone of the prospect. All right, and beware that there are some time zone exceptions like Arizona. All right, so some of those time zones are different. I always put down, for example, if it's in Utah, I know it's 2 hours off, and so I say your appointment is at 9 a.m. Mountain, and in parentheses, I'll put 11 a.m. Eastern, in parentheses. So if I'm wrong, somebody's going to catch that. You know, if it's supposed to be 3 hours, not 2 hours, that's something that could be triggered with that call. For the analysis, you can use, like I said, the most recent creditors, or you can have them fill out that application. But either way they choose, this information must be available at the time of the meeting, whether it's a face-to-face analysis or it is a webinar. That information should be in front of that prospect. Specific details from their creditors will be asked. For example, what's the balance that they owe, the interest rate, the monthly payment that is on each note. And guys, a lot comes with that monthly payment. You know, for example, what's required versus what do they pay? That's very important. What's if it's a credit card, you need to know the credit limit. See, if you know some of this ahead, whether you're doing it or not, at least have in the back of your mind, then you know when a person says, well, what am I going to need? Just simplify it for them, okay? And go to that point. Always, you know, I would tell everybody, have one of those sheets available with you, that the workshop, the application, the analysis worksheet. Excuse me about that. I had too many things going on in my brain at one time. Discretionary money is very important. You know, money that is available to use to get rid of the debt after they have paid all their creditors and their living expense. And deciding some of those living expenses are creative. People aren't sure. You know, they forget the insurance or their rental, you know, their leased vehicle. That's all living expense. That's not a monthly creditor expense. So we can go into some of that at another time. This is just a little copy of the questions that you'll ask. And I know this is a little small on here, but I wanted to at least have it there. You can blow it up on your screen or ask for a copy of that. Just touching base on those no's, you know, we don't want them to say no to us unless it's K-N-O-W. But some of the no's that we do like to say are no refinancing, no modification, no credit checks, you know, things of this nature. We don't even need to know who they're paying. We don't need to know the name. So we just want to let them know that there are little to no changes to their lifestyle, but they need to know that they're, you know, that there's going to be a life-changing situation when they move forward, which is always a good thing. Guys, you have to understand also this is not a speed race presentation. I will generally, and other presenters do it at different time frames, I'll generally do it in about an hour. The first part of that conversation, if they have their information available, takes about 20 to 25 minutes to enter the information. After that, then you are talking about the evaluation and the results of their analysis. So it's important that you, please, when you're assigning them, I've been told that agents are saying that it takes 30 minutes. No, it takes longer than that. So you can break it up into 2 meetings. It's up to you. But there are different things that has to be accomplished during that meeting. And you want to make the person feel comfortable. And you don't want them to feel as though, for example, it's a timeshare thing. You know, do it right away, do it right this minute. This is the deal right now. Let's hurry up and get through. That's not the way this works. First of all, they're very self-conscious about putting the information and giving you the information and sharing it with you. You want them to feel comfortable. All right. So prior to assigning the prospect, there are things that you need, and those lists will be available for you so you can just kind of keep track of them. But be in touch, be connected with that person even when you're referring them. You are the referring agent, and you should always follow up with that prospect. Follow up and always look in the back office, because your coach or the closer will put information in the back office to allow you to see what's going on. Now, you won't be able to see the actual analysis and the inputs, the information is inputted, but you will be able to see once the person's purchased, when it's completed, and all that kind of good stuff. It'll be in your back office. Communicate with the coach. Let them know what's going on if you've spoken to that person, so that the coach gets a good feel of that particular person that they're working with. And we did go over this the other day, and we will touch on this again on Monday with our following up. So when we talk about 2 appointments, I usually will take that information, and if they are not with their partner or their other decision maker in their business or their household, I will then give them the second part of the presentation together. So I'll kind of get them excited about, wow, we got all the information in. This is so great. The next portion is to see how much I can erase for you. And then let's get that person on the call. So that's always a good time to break that appointment at that point. The closer will confirm the client's appointment time. Now, I do know that in the back office, it gives you an opportunity to write down the best time that this person is interested in meeting with their closer. Please keep in mind that if everyone's doing the same thing, then they may have some people that won't get the point that they really desire. So when you're setting that appointment, let them know that this is your desired time, but it may not be the time that you get. The closer will confirm the appointment time that you have set. And if you are using a closer instead of you doing it yourself, please give the closer enough time to at least communicate with the person. So you shouldn't really do the same day setup of an appointment unless you communicate directly with the closer and that appointment time is available. Because what you're doing is setting it up for disappointments. If you set a time and say, this is the time they're going to call you, this is the time you're going to have your analysis, and then we don't get it in time, or that time is filled. So it's important that you let them know that this is our time we're shooting for. However, let us go ahead and make sure that closer calls you back. The closer will then email to that client to confirm the time frame, the prospect, the time frame, and what is expected of them, like that list I showed you earlier, either using the worksheet or getting those bills together. The closer will also enter all the documentation, present the results, and answer any of those questions that will come in. Hopefully all of your prospects have watched the video, but we understand that some don't. We do try to talk to them after the analysis and get them to, again, watch the video for a refresher understanding. The closer will also make every effort to close that person at that point. Some cases you may have to wait till another appointment, but for the most part, you know, the conversation can be, let's get that sale closed. Closing sales that are closed will appear in two areas. One in your prospect section where the active or the assigned information prospect will then go into purchased, new tab next to assigned, purchased, and it'll have that person's information, and it'll say how much they put down or how much they paid in full and about when it's going to be paying off. Remember, it's 3 days right of rescission, the person can cancel. And so you have to do 3 days, consider 4 days, that it has to be within that time frame that we get paid during the week, whether it's a Tuesday or Thursday. The sale needs to be processed prior to that so that on that 4th day, an ACH can be set up and you're paid after that. The other place that the sale, the closed sale is, the process sale is showing is under sales, and you can see whether it's pending or it is processed. And again, so it goes in, it's pending, and you can see, and then once it's processed, you should see the next day or two, it'll show up in your commission tab and in your bank, which is always a good thing. The process, of course, is the analysis, presenting the results, and activation. Now, some people want the price before they get the analysis information put in, and they want to know how much it's going to cost them before they even know the results. Please understand that it is variable based on that person's debt, how much the program is going to save them and erase for them, and how many years, and a number of other components. So it's really important. It's really important that you keep these things in these steps, okay, guys, and let them know that it is a process. Remember, this person could possibly become an agent, and there are agent perks that you could mention. But I always look at it this way. I do the analysis. I will present. Before I activate, I'll ask them about their discounts. I'll ask them, did they have any friends that they want to tell about this and so forth, and perhaps refer them right back to you as an agent before I close the sale, because there's a perk that they get, right? They have to be an agent in order to show that discount on their program of that 30% program that you can do as an agent. Then you want to repeat and then just duplicate your actions. So there's a lot of information that I've given you there, and we're going to look at the back office in just a moment, keeping in mind that there are 4 strategies that we always work with, and we try to keep it simple. The fact is that these are our core principles that make everything work for the Worth account. And so we will talk to them about accelerated mortgage payoff, strategic debt payoff, of course, wealth accumulation, and that's all presented on the PowerPoints in their analysis portion of this portion of it. And then, of course, there's always coaching and education, and that's an extremely important area because knowing is not enough. You must do something with it. And with the coaching and education that we have available to us for all of our prospects and agents, of course, that'll help them use it and have a more successful result. So it's important that they're aware of that. But you know what's really important? The fact that there has to be action. You need to talk to them and make sure they're comfortable and follow up with them. The closer needs to make sure the information is given correctly and precisely, and they move them forward to making sure they open up their program. And then that prospect, now a client, needs to be able to take the action necessary to get going on their program. So you probably say, how? Well, how is when you secure that program and confirm everything, all right? Make sure those numbers are run and then get them assigned. We're going to go into the back office and we're going to talk about the prospect tab. So all of you should have access to that. Go to your prospect tab, select the correct prospect. They're right next to each other and you double click some time on that prospect. You may end up going to the wrong one. So before you run the analysis, be sure you have the right one. I can say that to you all because I have clicked on the wrong one and had to catch myself and fix it. So please make sure you're on the right one. Select the analysis tab under that prospect's name and then go into the program. So right here, we're going to now talk about the options that are available to you when you have that client on the call. So and running the analysis. And what I was trying to be is very quick with this and tricky. Let's see if I can do it today. Of course, it didn't do what I wanted it to do, so let's see if it will do it now. All right. So with that information, this is a back office, and over the last couple of sessions, we've been working with Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt is a client, and they've entered the information. Excuse me, she's a prospect, and they entered the information. So you would go to analysis, and I'm sure you all by now know how to get there. Go to analysis, and let's see what's showing up. When you have already run an analysis and reopened it, and you reopened it, which means you closed out of the system, rebooted another day, or whatever it is, when you go back into it, you'll have another option to set up another scenario. All we're saying here is that the same information will carry from the main one, right, the master file, and will now be in the new file as well. And you can edit information in here, like maybe add a rental property, or they're thinking about buying a car, you want to have that scenario, you can put that in there and just label it, and then it creates a new file. Here's a caution step. Be sure that before you close this or before you finish running this, you're in the right file. All right, let's go back to master because that's where we left off last time. When you press that, now your system will time out, so just as long as you're using it, you'll be okay. Here is the final page of the summary. Remember, because we went step by step, we hit all of these places. Debt, the different debt is right here. All right, those are the debts that we put in. Then we had the income. The income had to be enough to cover the debt, plus have some money as discretionary. Expenses, that's how you're able to see where the money is going as far as your income and then your expenses. So all of that's right here, all identified. All right, and you can go back into it if you want. Generally, I don't go through all of these. I may just pull up the debt. If there's a correction that needs to be made, this is the time to do it, guys. All you have to do is click on debt, and it brings up the debts that you put in, or income, or anything that you have a correction to. Let me also make sure that you realize if you change anything in income or anything on debt, whether you're adding, subtracting, correcting, whatever it is, go back to expense and correct that information because it changes based on what you did in the first two screens. Keep in mind, I'm always telling everybody to follow a system. Start at the end and don't skip around. Even though the person says, well, I have my bank information. That's okay. Let's hold on to that and go to the next screen. By doing that, it's building the next spot that you need to go to. All right. So now that we're in summary, all right, you're going to be going to all these different slides and all these different locations and so forth the first time around. You don't need to go back to it the second time. They want to know the discretionary. Some of them may say, well, wait a minute, I only said $500. See, it's right there. $500 is all I said. That's my income, that's my living expense, and that is my creditors. But I only said $500. Why do I have $611? Well, this $111 was the extra principal that you pay on your debt. And I go right to the debt and I show them. Remember when we talked about extra that you pay, and what we want you to do is pay the minimum amount due, put everything else into your savings or into the line of credit based on what they have. And they go, oh, right, I remember now. And then you continue from there. I also mentioned to them that they said in their emergency fund, they wanted to have $3,500. I always like this to say 100. So whatever it is in there, guys, try to make sure that you talk to them and this is 100, because the system will look at, if this says it's only 50%, it'll look at paying this and getting this paid to $3,500 before it starts working on the debt. So I always make sure it says 100. If they want to build more in their emergency fund, wait till they start the program. And that's what I say. So listen, you said you wanted that $5,000 in there, but let's go ahead and reduce that so that you're at 100%. And you do that right up in that screen at the top so that you're at 100%. And then once you start the program, when you get on the program, go ahead and tell it that you want to have $5,000 in your emergency fund. You can do that, right? Right? That sounds pretty easy, right? Right. All right, what are we doing here, guys? We're already getting a lot of rights and yeses in the beginning. All right, $111. That's something that you can do. You need to do that every month. I don't care if you break up the payment, but you got to put it into that savings account every single month. Can you do that? Great. Not a problem. So you can put in more if you like, because if you put in more, it speeds it up. If you put in less now, it's still going to work pretty quickly, but it's going to slow it down. So try to keep at least a 611 or more to make sure you get out of debt faster. All right, so when you look down here, guys, you notice that I have to speed up a little. I'm looking at my time. Live presentation, web conference, view reports. Please don't go to view reports. That's the PDF. Don't go to that, because then that puts all the prices and everything as far as the years and all that stuff in it, and then you just kind of kill yourself of excitement. And do not send the shopping cart. Do not send the shopping cart at this point. All right, so we're going to go to live presentation because we're on a webinar, but you could do a web conference, and they will get an email, be able to open it up. I like doing the webinar because, for me, I'm in control of where the person is going. So it's going to come up at this point, and you'll do Let's Go. Let's Go starts everything off. You can see all these things down here, and that's just your screens that you just were in. And then under here, it's going to give you the progression of the program. So see them pop up? And that's all the progression. Please don't jump ahead. Follow the system. So here we go. Your mortgage is $188,117.72, and then you have loans of $83,010. You also have $7,200 worth of credit card debt currently. And this is a snapshot, excuse me, a snapshot of your debt today. I have a total of $278,327.72. And that's what the bank wants from you today. You signed the contracts. That's what they expect you to pay. So you have that number? Great. Let's go ahead and see what the partner to this number is. And you can progress over here or down below. You proceed, and then you'd say, now, you have that principal debt, and that's what the main part of the bank is, but the debt is, but you also have $169,124.92 worth of interest that you still owe the bank. And you know what? The bank wants both of these, principal and interest, because this is the amount that you still have to pay your creditors because you have a debt. The relationship between these two amounts is 60.76%. 60.76% effective interest rate, meaning that's the effect, how it's affecting you, the difference between these two. And this is actually how you pay all your debt. So you know that mortgage that you told me that was blah, blah? Well, guess what? This is what you're paying. This is what all your debt is costing you to be in debt. So this is a number we definitely have to get rid of. Don't you agree? Okay, great. Well, you know what? We're going to break it down a little further. Now, guys, you see all this on here? I actually don't go into it that much. I may say, that, to pay off that 100, depending on their reaction, that $169,000, I may say something like, yeah, and that's going to take, if you didn't eat, if you didn't drink anything, get on your cell phone, go visit, do anything but pay your interest, it would take you 2.7 years to just pay it off, all the income coming in your household. And they'll usually respond in some way there too. But depending on what they're acting like and how they're saying, I may or may not go into that. All right. So let's break this down a little further. Right now, you're spending $488.80 per month on interest alone. That's definitely something we need to get rid of, right? And wait for their answer pretty much. And they don't say it, I answer it for them. All right. But the number I really want you to look at is $1. $1 costs you $3.35. So that's kind of the cost of being in debt. Every time you pay off $1, you need to pay out $3.35. I mean, it's like a loaf of bread, for example, a $2 loaf of bread. What is that? $6.70 for a $2 loaf of bread? What if you go to the grocery store and buy $100 worth of groceries? You got to give them $335. Well, we don't even want to talk about a $3 tank of gas, how much it's going to cost you. How long do you want to keep doing that? And they say something or they moan or whatever, and I say, well, we need to definitely stop that and get rid of this number, right? Right. So that's a number we have to definitely get rid of. And following this system, it's going to show you how to make this, get rid of all those things you said you want to get rid of. All right, and then I move on to the next slide, and I say, let's break it down a little further. And let's talk about, I see this comes up, I don't talk about it, guys, until I get to it when I'm ready. So I highlight this, and I make sure they're following my pointer, and I highlight now that debt, that principal and interest, is $447,452.64. And guess what? You sign on a dotted line, and the banks expect you to pay that. Because those are contracts that you can't change unless you're going to refinance or modify, and you don't have to bring that up unless they brought it up to you. My last call, that's all they were talking about. So $447,452.64 is what the bank expects from you. So there's several different things I'll say, depending on their response. For example, I may say something like this. So let me ask you, if you wanted to, if you went to a banker and you say, or a loan officer, and you say, hey, loan officer, I want to get rid of $447,452.64. What can you do for me? And they say, well, Miss Kit, I'll tell you what, I can give you a loan for that, but it's going to be at an interest rate of 1.46%. 1.46%. So what would you do with that? And they'll usually say, I'd run out and take it. Exactly. You will run out and take that and start paying off your bills right away, right? Well, what if I told you you didn't have to go to the bank, you don't have to refinance, you don't have to set up a new account or even get a credit check or any of that stuff at all. What you need to do is just follow the system. For example, pay your bills. That's your responsibility. You need to pay your bills and pay the minimum amount due when they're due. Everything else that you want to pay, like all that extra stuff, like the rounding up or the $20 here, the $50 there, put it all into your savings account. And right now, we've talked about your discretionary as $611 that you're going to put into your savings. Did you know by following the system, paying your bills, and then watching when the software says pay a little extra, you'll tell you exactly what to pay extra, pay this particular bill on this particular day. By doing that, you will be paying your debt as though you had a 1.46% effective interest rate. You're not getting a new contract, but that's when you're going to be feeling like you're paying your bills. That's how it's going to pay off. And then there's comments about that. So with that understanding, let's talk about erasing debt. Isn't that a great time to do that? All right. What if I told you that you would save or erase, I like erase better, but save or erase $103,514.23 by following that little system I just told you to follow. Pay your bills, follow the worth account system. It'll tell you what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how much you need to do it. And this $103,514.23 will stay in your pocket. I bet you can find something to do with that rather than what the lenders want to do with it, couldn't you? And comment. And then this money right here is actually, you're paying it. It's built into your debt right there. You're giving it away. So now isn't it a time now to claim back that power of your money? This is your money. And we're going to show you step by step how to make it happen. And you'll know ahead of time. You'll know 3 months in advance what to do, when to do it. So you're never caught off guard. So then you'll be prepared. Let's move that on a little further. You told me you wanted to retire a little earlier, right? And the only way you could retire is because the reason you couldn't retire is because you have debt. And we talked about retiring a little earlier, and you said that if you could save some money, you would do that. Well, how about if I tell you your debt-free day is going to be April 2031? April 2031. Write it down. That's your debt-free date. Why is that? Well, you know, you owe 28.8 years in all of your debt. That's the largest that you had. The mortgage is going to be 28 and 8 years. But it is all of your debt included in that for 28.8 years. What if I told you that you would be debt-free in April 2031, and it would be 11.9 years from now? 11.9 years from now versus 28, almost 29 years. You would be debt-free in 11.9 years by following the system. How does that feel? Doesn't it take a burden off your shoulders? So I give them what it does if they're not answering fast enough. All right, so with that understanding, I start going into, did you see these little words over here? Less than. Most of our clients, even though we guarantee 11.8 years, and as long as you do your part, the system will do its part within that 11.8 years. And most of our clients that are using the program now are actually showing that they're paying their debt off 20% ahead of the guaranteed amount that we tell them, just by following the system. Well, isn't that going to be a nice little gift to be out of debt even faster than what's projected? This is less than half the time. So what that's saying is that even though your mortgage is going to pay off in less than half the time, the car or the student loan or the credit card is going to pay off less than half their time. So that's a good reward to look forward to. The key here is that 16.8 years, now you can do what you want because it's your money. And you have now saved a bunch of money. So we want you to understand that there is a way. Now that you know there's a way, you can't unknow it, right? So what is the best thing that you have seen so far and heard so far that makes you want to say, I need to be debt-free? And they give me a couple of different things. And then I'll go into something I call the Worth Way. So I'll say, let me show you something we call the Worth Way, W-O-R-T-H way, the way that we look at money. So here you're looking at years and money, 28.8 years. What if you still own the contract? And since you signed on the dotted line, those are the years that you still owe. Well, what if you follow the Worth system? When you start the program, it's going to tell you what you need to do. Right now, you spend $19.97 a month on creditors. And in 12 years, 11.9 years, 12 years, you'd be done. What are you going to do for 16.8 years with that money? What if you put it into a savings account, just at 1% interest, and watched it grow every single month? Instead of paying your creditors, you're paying yourself in your savings account. So you're done right here. This is how your money grows over the years. The same money you would have been using to get rid of that debt that you currently have. And at the end of paying it the way that the system you're using, that might be where you are in your savings. Our task is to help you see that this is the way to make a difference in your life. Do you see that? You do. Wonderful. Well, how about having $533,404.99 extra in your savings account because you followed the Worth system? Wouldn't that be a blessing? Most definitely. All right, so at this point, I say to any questions, but for time, I'm going to keep on going. Now, let's recap everything you see. Now, guys, here's an option. You can go right to the shopping cart or right to the final page where you're asking to show them the pricing. Or what I have done most every time is, would you like a recap of everything I gave you because there's so much information? And they say yes. This gives me another chance for me to get another yes out of them. Go back to the summary. Go to the point. Now you can go to view the report, which is the PDF, all right? If you say show worksheet, which I do very quickly, and the reason I do it quickly is because I want to see how much that money that they put in the emergency fund is going to show. So if it's a substantial amount more, I'll show that one. If I look at it, I may bounce back to the other screen really quickly. When you're used to your screens, you know what to see. So I'll say something like this. You remember the emergency fund you wanted to set aside? Right. We said that we're going to just do $3,500 right now to start with. If you just kept the $3,500 in that emergency fund, the system says, hey, by following Worth account, you will have an extra $9,603 in that emergency fund. Wow. It just grew over $6,100 over the life of your debt. Isn't that another great thing? And they usually say something about that. Let's talk about the recap that we just discussed. Everything you see is in red is creditor information. So first, let's start right here. Remember we said you owe $278,327.72. Yes? Okay, great. Well, you do owe $447,453. And I do it a lot slower. Anyway, $453. And that's the debt because you have interest of over $169,125 that you owe, and they're going to have you pay that, right? So what if we can get you down to $65,611 in interest? Well, we can't. By you following the system, pay your bills and then follow the system. That's it. And by doing that, you're going to erase $103,514. That's the minimum by following the system. You do your part, the system's going to do its part. Remember, it can't do anything without you. It doesn't see your money. It doesn't move your money. It doesn't even touch it. It doesn't know who you're paying. The fact is that the information that we've put in is ready for you to get started right away. You just have to do a couple of things like say, hey, I like to pay my bills on this day. But other than that, we can't see anything as far as your personal, your accounts or move them, other than what you've given us. All right, so with that understanding, you're saving $103,514. That's a good amount. You can find a lot to do with that, right? Right, go from there. All right, so let's talk about some other things that your creditor's looking at. Remember that dollar I told you about? You know, if you paid out $100, bought $100 worth of groceries, you'd have to pay $335. This is the cost of being in debt. And you definitely want to get rid of that so that more of your money is going to you. You worked for it. Now, also in September 2033, you'd be 49 years old. But you know what? You'd only be about halfway with your debt being paid off. You'd still owe over $138,000 in debt. So that's something you want to look at, because remember what we said, in 11.9 years, you'd be done. So what does that look like? Right now, like we said, you owe 28 years, 28.8 years. That's 345 months. 345 months is what you still owe. So we want to take that down. That's kind of far out there. You'd be 63 years old, 63 years old, or how about 143 months? You'd only be 48 years old, 46 years old. And that's less than the 50 years you asked to retire at. Isn't that fantastic? So those 16.8 years, 202 months. You can figure out what to do with that. This is within reach. Wouldn't you agree? Absolutely. And this is the worth way. I told you, at 1% of the money that you're spending right now, month after month, you can now put it in your own bank account. Well, let's look at the amortized information. That basically means your debt all broken down into years. And it's all right here. Currently, you owe $278,327.72 with your creditors. And guess what? If you start the program, you'll still owe that on the first day. All right. But 1 year out, your creditors are saying that you still owe them $270,159. We're saying if you follow the Worth system, you'll be at $257,088. Isn't that a better place to be? $257,000 versus $278,000. Let's just take it down a couple of years. What if we were at, let's just say 5 years? $235,672 paying your bills out of your pocket month after month after month, year after year for 5 years. But what we're saying is you'd be down to $175,203 is all you would have left by following this system. And it's within your budget because we worked out the numbers and it shows it's within your budget and it's live. So let's look at where that $175,000 would be if you followed your creditor's system. 5 years versus what? 11 and a half years? How about if we go a little further? How about on the 11th year, that whole year you'll only owe $23,000. But your bank or your creditors would say you owe them $176,362. Well, you know where I'm going. Where is that $23,000 on the creditor side? Way down here at about almost 27 and a half years versus 11. So now you have this big question. Where would you rather be? Debt-free, sorry about my screen moving so much, debt-free in 2031 or in 2048? And I always ask everyone, which would they like better, the right side or the left side? See, we believe if you understand the way interest works, you'll end up earning it. That's what you're seeing here. If you don't, you'll continue to pay it. So at that 15-year mark, what you actually put in there, because that's what you thought you would be, you're at $91,000 extra money in your account, just on 1% interest. And you and I both know there's a lot of other programs out there that'll grow wealth faster than that. But in 15 years, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be at over $130,000. So when you look at that, we're really talking about 11.9 years being out of debt or less. And we're saying that 16, almost 17 years, you're debt-free. That means no more mortgage payment. You know, no more other student loan payments or anything like that you have, keeping over $103,000 from going away from your pocket. That's over $74, $724 a month that you're actually saving. Now, guys, I don't do every single one of those things, but most of them I do cover based on their response. All right, do you have any questions? How did you like that? That type of thing. And then, well, let's go ahead and see where you actually are as far as where you're going to be able to get out of debt and all that kind of stuff. That is the free analysis that we talked about. But let's move it on to the next step. Did you like what you saw? What was the best part? What did you like? And I'm constantly asking different things like that, and to get a little answer or supply the answer. All right. So because this will not be bright like this. The only reason it's bright like that is because we've already been in the shopping cart from the previous class. But we are not, don't go there. We're not going to do that. So you'll have the other windows open up. You can't go there until you go to the Get Started. All right, so that won't be lit. It'll be a dark green. All right, so once you go back into the live presentation, you can go right to the Get Started page. And I've already asked some questions and all that stuff. And this will ask them, again, I'll show you on another screen, guys, you know, do 30 days, you know, do you want to see analysis and that type of thing. And then this page pops up. And this page goes pretty quickly. So basically what I say is the cost for you to move forward and become debt-free is $37.45. It's going to absorb itself in about 5 months, and that's as far as I go on that. So let's talk about that a little. It absorbs itself in about 5 months. Let me tell you what they think this means. They think this is their monthly bill. So I do mention it before they say it. I would say now, procrastination basically means that $723.88 comes out of your savings every single month for waiting. All right, and I know people have busy lives and everything, but the urgency is to get out of debt soon, right? Right. And you said you wanted to start right away, right? Right. All right, so we're getting all that stuff. Well, let me ask you a question. If you knew for a fact that everything I've told you is true and it will work for you and all you have to do is just live your life and follow the plan, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing, you know, ridiculously stressful, and you knew for a fact that you would save over almost 17 years of debt freedom, you would have 17 years of debt freedom and save over $103,514.23. Do you believe that I usually say this, $37.45, I don't say $3,745, I say $37.45 is a great investment for you and your family. And then don't say anything. Let them, there's an awkward moment, let them say something. Now, they may say something like, well, you know, I don't think I can. I say, well, I interrupt them and say, well, that's not what I'm talking about, because they're starting to go into can they afford it and all that stuff. I'm saying, no, I'm asking a question. Is this a good deal for you that if you knew for a fact that you'd be debt-free in the amount of years, which I've already forgotten, and guess what? They're right there, okay? In 11.9 years, do you believe that that $103,514.23 is a great benefit at $37.45 expense to you? And they'll say something like, yeah, I do. So that's where you would go from there. So are you ready to get started on your debt-free program? Or are you ready to get started claiming that money that belongs to you? Different things of that nature. Based on what they say, I will proceed to the cart. And for this training, I'll just do a piece of this because this is the next training. So at that point, when they want to get started, I will, before I go here, I'm sorry, I should have said what I did. I say, well, there's options to do that. You can take care of that all at once because they'll ask you to get paid up front, you have to do this or whatever. Well, let me just explain it all to you. You can take care of that one time and it's done. You can put it on a couple of credit cards or one credit card or your line of credit, whatever you choose to do. You can also use our new system that we have put in place for everybody. It's a PayPal system where you actually get 6 months interest free, and you can break up your payments in 6 months and get rid of that whole thing in 6 months. So you can do several different things. Which are you leaning towards? All right, now guys, I know there's a payment plan. I never say payment plan. I will then go into the fact that there's a way of breaking it down, breaking it up. I don't say anything about where it will go or what it will do, for them. I don't want to give them that impression. I want them to see that this is the way to go. Now, they'll say, is there other options? Because I've sent this option. I say, yes, there are options. You can break this into maybe 2 or 3 or more payments based on what you need. All right. And so that's when you go into that. By doing it that way, then they know most people do pay for it in full, and they put it on the PayPal, they put it on a couple credit cards, and now they are started and getting it going. All right. And so we go into that section. We'll talk more about that in the next class. There are options when you open up this shopping cart. Right here, the options, you need to click on the actual price. Here are all the different amounts. All right, so when this comes up, they'll see this. Now, if I'm doing a GoToMeeting, I'm going to tell you now what I do. I just block my screen. And I'm not going to do it now because of time. But I just block my screen. They can't see what I'm doing. I will select the right one, which is right here. Right? Doesn't that match what's in there? But you have to select it. And then you submit. And it goes into the shopping cart. And the price is put in there. If I've done it right this time, let's see. All right, there it is. Now, this was already pre-set up to do payment plans. So let me show you how to do that. Right here. Say you're going to proceed. The person says, well, I think I might want to break it up for a few payments. All right, right-click, enable financing, check the box, then proceed to cart. When you proceed to cart, again, you select what you want and then submit. It'll open it up. And now you'll see the drop-down arrow right here pop up. All right? Now that'll give a chance to pay in full or finance it. And we'll get into the financing options on the next call because there's a lot of details, but I wanted to show you this page. If they decide to do the PayPal, it's already checked. In order to do PayPal, you must have their address completed, their information completed. You can't send the shopping cart or make the presenter unless that information is completed for PayPal. All right. You as agents that use the GoToMeeting, do not use your GoToMeeting to set them up. You need to make them the presenter or send them the shopping cart. I can tell you the things that can happen when you mess up that way. Anyhow, with that understanding, you would then have them type their name in here, exactly what's on top. That will also mess it up if they change their name, put a nickname in or a letter in the middle of their name or junior or senior. This will turn green. And then they click PayPal credit. And then they'll be asked, do you have an existing account? Do you want to set up one? And so forth and so on. And all those things will come to them. If they want the shopping cart sent to them and they want to do PayPal, they do that. If they don't want to do PayPal, they click right here. If they want to do the finance, let me show you what happens. Click on finance. This is the default page. I'm going to tell you what I do. I have my screen hid until I ask them what would be a good arrangement for them. Would they like to pay a third down? Or would they like to pay this down or whatever? Just so that you know, the minimum is $495. I always have in here $500. And they cannot see my screen. And I say, how would you like to break that up? What's a good payment for you? Well, I think I can do $200 a month. So I just get to a point where I know that it's about $200, and I get close to that. And maybe a couple of trials of pay, because this used to do reverse, but it doesn't do that now. All right, and so I just ask them, you see how the difference are? But I don't show them this. I'm going to tell you what happens as soon as you show them the shopping cart. Say they said, I'll put a third down and pay the rest down in 6 months. You pop in here and you show them that they can put down $500 or $495 and pay out 24 months. That's what they elect to do. So you don't want to do that. So that's why I hide it, ask them what they want, and then I plug it in. When they see it, then they fill it out. They fill out everything because they've made the presenter at that point. They can use multiple cards on the deposit, whether it's a full payment that you're doing or whatever it is. They can use multiple cards on that first payment right there. All right. So we went very vaguely over this section. All right, but there's codes and security and everything that goes along with that, and we are just at the top of the hour. So before I get off of the call for you tonight, let me see if I can just finish up this segment of our training. All right, so let's see, what did I do here? All right, so with that, we've talked about the review of the summary and make sure there's any 8 changes. Be sure to have paper available so you can write notes down that you want to ask them. And remember, you'll see the closed system. It'll pop up from the assigned area or the active area into purchased tab. And those tabs just pop up right here, assigned and then purchased. Okay, it'll then say the sale is completed or the analysis is completed. All right, at that point, remember, if you want to double check before you close it, that you're in the right window. Okay, and you can do that from the analysis itself. All right, you can do that. All right, and we'll review that. But we want to make sure you're in the right window, because if you're not in the right window, you'll have the old information or the wrong information. All right, at this point that you've already finished the analysis and all that stuff, is the summary, you've already done that, you've done the actual presentation, and now you did the summary and we did the PDF. You can email them this. I don't email it to them unless they have specifically asked for it. That's when I email it. All right, so now you've presented the results. It then says at the bottom of your back office, analysis completed. But is the analysis completed? No, not really. It's not completed. The paperwork is, the information is, but your job goes further than the analysis. You want to make sure that the cost has been identified and the cost of being in debt, that $1 versus $3 and change, that these numbers are run properly, the free analysis is actually complete, which is what we just did. Then you want to explain their options and then the purchasing options that they have. Sit there when they go through the purchase, they made the sale, then you say set the appointment for the training with corporate. It's all on those last pages that we will be covering on Monday. Open their Worth account with them, let them put in their own security information, and then go from there so they're ready to start using the wizard that's in the program setup. You want to make sure you have the program so you know all these different things that are in the back office of your Worth account. So with that, we're bringing it to a close. We've done entering the documentation, and then we've just completed presenting the analysis and the results. The PowerPoint is complete, and the PDF is complete. So this will be available for you to review. On Monday, we will talk about how to close out the rest of that sale so we can make a collection of their funds and get them activated, giving them options, and setting up that purchase plan. And so I have brought you to this point. I know there are questions on there. I can throw it back to John. This is Darlene and Harry Preston bringing this information to you. Please follow this rule also. If you're not sure, ask for help. It's easier for us to teach you how to put an analysis in than to fix one. So please be sure you get trained on it and choose that option of perhaps selecting somebody to close the sale with you in the very beginning. Maybe your sponsor's new and they need information too. So get the right person on there with you. Be careful what you send. Don't send a cold call to me or to corporate or to your sponsor, your upline, whoever. They're not going to be happy because they're going to send it back to you. Be sure that the information time zone is right. I can't tell you how many times time zones were put in wrong. And don't put in stone that appointment. Let them know that this is their choice and we will do the best that we can to get them the results that they want. So let me turn this back over to John. It's on you, sir.
Thank you, Darlene. That was amazing. Hopefully everybody got some really good pointers out of that. I do want to go through and show you one thing real quick, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the screen over to me real quick, if I can here. Okay, so you should see my screen here.
Well, we see the presenter page. You just have to show your screen. There you go. Make it larger.
Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen now. Let's see.
Back office.
Okay, great. So one thing I just wanted to point out is these recordings are going to be posted in the news section. So, and then they are categorized by three-part training, three-part sales training, and if you click that, they're just going to show up. Now, we're always posting new recordings in this back office, so they'll get buried eventually. So we've also created a tag for it down here, 3-part sales training. So if they get buried down there, you can just click on that, and they're tagged, and all of a sudden, as soon as this refreshes, bam, there it goes. And then all you will see is just those 3-part trainings. So you're going to be able to find these trainings, go through them really slow. We've had a lot of good comments in here, but wanting to review this and relearn it. So anyways, those are going to be there for you in the back office, so you can go through and rewatch and rehearse, and even do it with Darlene as she's going through it. Just walk it through on your back office as well. So anyways, thank you so much, Darlene. That was an amazing training. I learned a ton, even myself. So grateful for all your help, and for just the amazing partnership that we have with you. And so what we will do is go ahead and answer a few questions from the back office for now, but we are going to go ahead and end the call. Thank you, and have a wonderful day, and God bless.
See you all on Monday.